The automotive world is currently focused on an unusual and fascinating situation involving a YouTuber and one of the most respected car brands in the world, Bugatti. This story is not just about cars. It is about control, power, and who really owns a vehicle after buying it. At the center of this situation is Mat Armstrong, a creator known for rebuilding damaged supercars and bringing them back to life. His latest project is not just any car. It is a crashed Bugatti Chiron, one of the most advanced and expensive cars ever made. What started as an exciting rebuild project quickly turned into something much bigger. It became a debate about whether independent mechanics should be allowed to repair such complex machines without help from a manufacturer. Many people began to ask questions. Does Bugatti have the right to control how their cars are repaired? Should owners have full freedom to fix their own vehicles? These questions are not easy to answer, and that is why this story has captured so much attention. It feels like a clash between two different worlds: the highly controlled environment of luxury car companies and the open, creative world of independent builders. As the story developed, it became clear that this was not just about one car. It was about the future of car ownership and the limits that companies might place on their customers. The situation became even more serious when Mat Armstrong, the CEO of Bugatti Rimac, decided to publicly respond. He released a detailed video explaining why the company would not support Mat Armstrong's rebuild project. In the video, Rimac carefully explained the technical challenges involved in repairing a Bugatti Chiron. He talked about how these cars are not like normal vehicles. They are built with extremely advanced systems that require special tools, special training, and very controlled environments. For example, he explained that even something like resetting the airbags is not simple. It requires factory-level diagnostic systems that only authorized centers have access to. He also discussed the carbon fiber structure of the car, which is incredibly strong, but also very difficult to repair properly. If even a small mistake is made, it could affect the safety of the car in a serious way. Rimac also mentioned that Bugatti technicians go through long and strict training programs before they are allowed to work on these vehicles. According to him, this is not about controlling customers, but about ensuring safety. A car that can go over 400 kilometers per hour must be perfectly safe in every condition. His message was clear and professional. He wanted people to understand that Bugatti's position was based on responsibility, not ego or profit. Many viewers found his explanation reasonable, while others started to question whether there was more to the story than what was being said. After the video was released, the reaction from the online community was immediate and strong. Mat Armstrong himself responded in a calm and respectful way. Instead of reacting emotionally, he pointed out specific parts of the explanation that he did not agree with. He questioned whether some of the parts really required such strict control or if they could be handled by experienced independent mechanics. At the same time, other creators also joined the discussion. One example is FXG, who made a full video analyzing Bugatti's claims in detail. He looked at each argument and compared it with real-world examples from the automotive industry. He showed that many high-end cars from other brands can be repaired outside official networks, sometimes with great success. This raised an important question. Is Bugatti being extra careful, or are they being too restrictive? Mat Armstrong later released another video where he went deeper into the topic. He pointed out that some parts in the Bugatti seem to share similarities with parts used in other vehicles from a Volkswagen group. This made people wonder if some components were truly as unique and exclusive as they were claimed to be. The discussion became more intense as more people started to take sides. Some supported Bugatti's focus on safety, while others supported the idea of freedom and independent repair. As the debate grew, many people expected Bugatti to respond again. After all, the company had already taken the time to explain their position once. It seemed logical that they would address the new questions and challenges being raised. However, something unexpected happened. Bugatti said nothing. Days passed, then weeks, and there was no follow-up statement. Mat Armstrong did not make any new comments, and Bugatti's official channels continued as if nothing had happened. They posted about their cars, their history, and their achievements, but completely ignored the ongoing controversy. This silence quickly became the most interesting part of the story. People began to ask why such a major company would choose not to respond. Was it a mistake, or was it a carefully planned decision? In the world of big companies, Silence is rarely accidental. It is often used as a strategy. By not responding, Bugatti avoided giving more attention to the situation. But at the same time, their silence also created more curiosity. The lack of answers made people even more interested in what was really going on. This turned a simple rebuild project into a global discussion about corporate behavior and communication. As time passed, two main opinions began to form within the automotive community. The first group believed that Bugatti was deeply concerned about Mat Armstrong's project. According to this view, the company saw the rebuild as a possible threat. If Mat successfully restored the car without any help, it could challenge many of Bugatti's claims. For example, if the repair worked perfectly, people might start to question whether the strict rules are truly necessary. It could also raise doubts about the high cost of parts and services. Some people believe that luxury brands rely heavily on the idea of exclusivity. If that idea is weakened, it could affect how people see the brand. From this perspective, Bugatti's silence is not a sign of confidence but a way to avoid risk. By staying quiet, they avoid saying anything that could later be proven wrong. They also avoid giving more attention to the project. Supporters of this view think that Bugatti is carefully watching the situation but choosing not to get involved publicly. They believe that silence is being used as a shield to protect the company's image and control over its products. The second group sees the situation in a completely different way. They believe that Bugatti simply does not care about the rebuild at all. From their point of view, the company already explained everything clearly in the first video. There is nothing more to say. Engaging further would only give more importance to a project that does not affect their business in a significant way. Bugatti operates in a world where customers are extremely wealthy and expect the highest level of service. These customers are unlikely to rely on independent rebuilds. Instead, they prefer official service centers that guarantee quality and safety. Because of this, some people argue that Mat Armstrong's project is not a real threat to Bugatti. It is simply an interesting story for the internet. In this case, silence is not a defensive move, but a sign of confidence. It shows that the company does not feel the need to respond to every challenge or criticism. They are focused on their work and their customers, not on online debates. This interpretation paints Bugatti as calm, controlled, and above the noise of social media discussions. What makes the situation so interesting is that both of these interpretations could be true at the same time. Bugatti might care about the situation, but still choose not to respond publicly. Silence can serve many purposes. It can reduce attention, avoid conflict, and shift responsibility to others. In this case, it has placed all the pressure on Mat Armstrong. Now, he must prove that his rebuild can succeed without any help from the manufacturer. If he succeeds, it could change how people think about car repairs and ownership. If he fails, it could support Bugatti's claims about safety and complexity. Either way, the outcome will have a strong impact on the discussion. This situation also highlights a larger issue in the automotive industry. As cars become more advanced, they also become more controlled by the companies that make them. This raises questions about the future. Will owners still have full control over their vehicles, or will manufacturers continue to increase their influence? The Bugatti and Mat Armstrong story is just one example, but it represents a much bigger trend. In the end, this is more than just a story about a damaged hypercar. It is about the relationship between companies and customers in a modern world where technology is becoming more complex every day. Bugatti represents tradition, precision, and control, while Mat Armstrong represents creativity, independence, and challenge. The silence from Bugatti has become as important as any statement they could have made. It has created mystery, debate, and endless discussion. People are now watching closely to see what happens next. Will Mat complete the rebuild successfully? Will Bugatti ever respond again? Or will the silence continue? No matter the outcome, this story has already made a lasting impact. It has started an important conversation about ownership, freedom, and the future of the automotive world. And sometimes the most powerful message is not what is said, but what is left unsaid as the rebuild project continues. More attention is being drawn to the technical side of the story, especially the challenges involved in working on a machine as advanced as a Bugatti Chiron. This is not a typical car that can be repaired in a standard workshop. Every part of it is designed with extreme precision, and even the smallest detail can have a major impact on performance and safety. The car uses a carbon fiber monocoque chassis, which is both incredibly strong and very difficult to repair if damaged. Unlike metal frames that can sometimes be reshaped or welded, carbon fiber requires special techniques and perfect conditions to restore properly. Even temperature and humidity can affect how the material behaves during repair. In addition to the structure, the electronic systems inside the car are highly complex. The sensors, control units, and safety systems all work together in ways that require deep understanding and access to specialized tools. For example, recalibrating the airbags or stability systems is not just a simple reset. It involves software that is usually only available to authorized service centers. These technical realities are part of the reason why Bugatti has such strict rules about who can work on their cars. However, independent builders like Mat Armstrong argue that with enough knowledge, research, and determination, many of these challenges can still be overcome. This creates a tension between what is officially allowed and what is practically possible, making the situation even more complex and interesting. Another important part of this story is the role of modern car manufacturing and how companies like Bugatti design their vehicles. Today's high-end cars are not just mechanical machines. They are also deeply connected to software and digital systems. This means that repairing them is not only about fixing physical damage, but also about accessing and controlling the software inside the vehicle. Many manufacturers use proprietary systems that are locked behind secure networks, making it very difficult for independent mechanics to fully service the car. This raises an important question about ownership. When someone buys a car, do they truly own it, or are they only allowed to use it under certain conditions set by the manufacturer? This question has become more relevant in recent years as more industries move toward controlled ecosystems. In the case of Bugatti, the company's approach reflects a desire to maintain the highest level of quality and safety, but it also limits what owners and independent builders can do. Supporters of open repair believe that customers should have the freedom to fix their own property or choose who repairs it. On the other hand, companies argue that without strict control, the risk of poor quality repairs increases, which could damage both safety and brand reputation. This debate is not limited to Bugatti. It is happening across the entire automotive industry, making this story part of a much larger conversation. The public reaction to the situation also highlights the growing influence of online communities and content creators. In the past, discussions like this would have remained within small groups of experts or industry insiders. Today, platforms like YouTube allow creators such as Mat Armstrong to share their work with millions of people around the world. This changes the balance of power. A single project can now challenge the narrative of a major company and start global discussions. Viewers are no longer passive consumers of information. They actively participate by sharing opinions, analyzing details, and forming their own conclusions. This creates a new kind of accountability for companies. Even a brand as powerful as Bugatti cannot fully control how its image is presented online. At the same time, content creators also face pressure to be accurate and responsible, as their work can influence public opinion in significant ways. The interaction between creators and corporations is becoming more common and often leads to situations like this one, where both sides are being closely watched. The silence from Bugatti, combined with the ongoing updates from Mat Armstrong, creates a dynamic where the story continues to evolve with each new development. This keeps audiences engaged and makes the situation feel like an unfolding series rather than a single event as more details emerge. The financial side of the story also becomes an important factor. Repairing a Bugatti Chiron is not just technically challenging, it is also extremely expensive. Replacement parts can cost huge amounts of money, and official repairs often involve long waiting times and strict procedures. For many people, this raises questions about why the costs are so high. Some argue that the prices reflect the research, development, and craftsmanship that go into creating such a unique vehicle. Others believe that the costs are partly influenced by the brand's desire to maintain exclusivity and control. If independent builders like Mat Armstrong can find ways to repair these cars at a lower cost, it could change how people view the value of official services. However, it is also important to consider the risks. Cutting costs in a project like this could lead to compromises in safety or performance. This is especially important for a car capable of extremely high speeds. The balance between cost, safety, and accessibility is not easy to achieve, and different people have different opinions on what is acceptable. This adds another layer to the story, making it not just about technical ability or corporate strategy, but also about economics and value. Looking ahead, the outcome of this situation could have long-term effects on the automotive industry. If Mat Armstrong successfully completes the rebuild and proves that independent repair is possible, it can encourage more people to challenge traditional systems. It might also push manufacturers to rethink how they approach service and support. On the other hand, if the project fails or encounters serious problems, it could strengthen the argument that only official channels should handle such complex vehicles. Either way, the story will leave a lasting impression. For Bugatti, the decision to remain silent will continue to be analyzed and debated. Some will see it as a smart and controlled strategy, while others will view it as a missed opportunity to engage with the community. What is certain is that this situation has already changed how people think about the relationship between car makers and owners. It has shown that even in a world of luxury and exclusivity, questions about freedom, control, and transparency are more important than ever. And as technology continues to advance, these questions will only become more complex, ensuring that discussions like this will continue for years to come as the story continues to unfold. One of the most interesting aspects is how it is changing the way people think about trust in the automotive world. Traditionally, companies like Bugatti have built their reputation on precision, perfection, and complete control over every detail. Customers trust that when they buy such a car, they are getting the highest level